Hello everyone, my name is Harikrishnan. My roll number is 198808 and this is my World Weather Reporting presentation number 2 for the week April 6 to 12, 2020. So let's start. So this plot here is the mean temperature analysis for the week April 6 to 12 from NCP analysis. And as we know, sun is in the northern hemisphere in this particular week as it is northern summer and it is above the equator and not too far from the equator also. So as you can see these patches over here, it is representing the higher temperatures. As you can see, it is representing the higher temperatures. So this African continent in the northern hemisphere, Indian region, and this part of the US and Mexico, such places. And here also, you can see these red patches over here. And these are the areas of higher temperature. Whereas when we come into the southern hemisphere, we saw that the Australian region had a very high temperature in the February week. But here, considerably, the temperatures are much lesser than this the previous week of February. So as you can see, higher temperatures are witnessed over the tropical region in the northern hemisphere in this particular week. So in the previous presentation, I talked about a cyclone UAC, which was formed near Vanuatu. So Vanuatu is an island close to Australia. So another cyclone, Harold, which is a much stronger cyclone than UAC, Category 5 cyclone, which also formed near Vanuatu. And it struck Vanuatu and Fiji very harshly with a very high wind speed of about 150 to 170 mile per hour, which is very high, and also which caused heavy rainfall over these two islands and many other places. And when we talked about UAC, it went to the New Caledonia, that is the Australian side, whereas this went to the direct opposite side. Also, as you can see from this video here, you can see how strong this cyclone was. It was such a very powerful cyclone. It is a Category 5 cyclone, so you can know how the winds were, and also you can see the speed of these winds. And its central pressure was 912 millibar, which is a very low pressure for a cyclone. So the next major event which happened in this particular week was a very warm and stable weather across Europe. So when I started this presentation, I talked about the sun's position, and it is not yet the summer in the European region, but they experienced a very high temperature and quite stable weather across Europe. This was because of the extensive upper level ridge which dominated much of the continent. Only far north Atlantic and northern Europe saw some dynamic weather, and most of the other places saw some very stable and warm weather. Okay, so this is because of the upper level ridge which dominated much of the continent. And as you can see, this temperature um, and these from these plots you can see the higher temperatures noted, and at some places the temperature was more than 10 degrees Celsius, warmer than the normal. That is quite high for a particular time in April for the European continent. So another devastating and unfortunate event which happened in this particular week was the Great Barrier Reef, which you all know in the northeast, located in northeast Australia, suffered a worse mass bleaching. So what is coral bleaching is that when the water is too warm, corals will expel the algae living in their tissues, causing the coral to turn completely white. So this is called coral bleaching. When a coral bleaches, it is not dead. Corals can survive a bleaching event, but they are under more stress and subject to mortality. They could die, but So in this event, around 344,000 square kilometers in size of corals was bleached, and this was the major. This is a major event, bleaching event happened after 2016 and 2017. The main cause of coral bleaching is the rising water temperature, and the worst in which cases it can lead to death of the corals and life around it. So this was such a devastating event, and the scientists added that for the first time, severe bleaching has struck all the three regions of the Great Barrier Reef. That is the northern, central, and now some large parts of southern sectors too. So all the three parts of the Great Barrier Reef was affected by this bleaching. We know this could be a cause of global warming or the a warming of ocean cascading by it. So, parts of northeast India experience fresh rainfall and thunderstorms and strong winds between April 8th and 9th. And this was due to a cyclonic circulation sitting over the northeast part of India, as you can see from this plot on the right side. So, this caused heavy rainfall and severe thunderstorms in the northeastern parts. And they usually call this storm as Bodoisila, experienced every year in the spring season, which refers to a wind that is accompanied by heavy rain and thunderstorms. It marks the beginning of the monsoon season. So it is locally known as Bordersilla, and it was due to a local low pressure system sitting over this uh, cyclonic circulation sitting over the northeastern part. So another devastating event which occurred in over Greece. Thousands of birds died due to high winds uh, over Greece. Um, the night of April 5 to 6 was disastrous for migrating birds due to strong winds and low temperature and rainfall. Southerly winds pushed the flocks of birds from North Africa into the currents from the north of Argan Sea, and particularly the islands. So to escape these exhausted birds, mainly swallows and swifts, which catch flying insects for food, headed for the Greek mainland and was found dead over the Greek mainland. So this was another a devastating event due to high winds, and all these birds took a turn and a diversion of their flight and were found dead over Greece. So this is also a very rare event which happened just because of the coronavirus pandemic. As we all know, India introduced a nationwide lockdown on March 21st. So, a few weeks after that, Himalayas were visible from a lot of places so far away from the Himalayas. So, Himalayas were visible from the plains of India and Pakistan on April 2nd week for the first time in 30 years. This happened for the first time in 30 years. So this was due to the significant reduction in air pollution due to the COVID-19 nationwide lockdown. So the vehicle pollution from the vehicles, industries, and everything reduced very significantly, and hence the air was so clean. So the people were able to see the Himalayas from such a longer distance, about 150 to 200 kilometers far from this, and the significant pollutions in reduction in pollution of NO2 and CO2 and other aerosol particles were very low. And as you can see, these are the visuals taken by the villagers from such a far distance that they could see Himalayas with naked eyes. And this was not something they have ever witnessed in their life. So this was such an exciting event. This was a very popular news those days. So in my previous presentation, I talked about Arctic cold outbreak. There was such an Arctic cold outbreak happened in US and Canada on the third week of April, and the temperatures plummeted down to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and which is a very low temperature. So, as I mentioned earlier, Arctic cold outbreak happens when the cold air mass sitting over the Arctic region enters into the subtropical regions, reducing the temperatures of this extratropical region to a very minimum temperatures. And this happened in the third week of April also. So the a rather classic pattern developed over the North American continent. A strong upper level ridge took place over the North Pacific, with the deepening through trough to its east of the Canada. So the upper trough digs south into the United States and develops a powerful cold blast across the country. As you can see, there is a very low temperature across this United States and Canada, So you can see this blue color over here showing the very low temperatures, and other on the left and right you can see very high temperatures, and those are the normal temperatures, and this is the very low temperatures experienced due to this particular Arctic cold outbreak. Another deadly event happened in the southeast US, in the states of Mississippi, Alabama, and all. These states experienced very severe weather outbreak and deadly tornadoes in the third week of April from on April 12th. A particularly dangerous weather setup was seen across this area, and this brought heavily, heavy tornadoes and very fast wind across this place. So you can see in this first image, these are the areas which experience the severe weather outbreak, and in this second image, you can see the cloud formation over the areas. And also in this particular animation, you can see how strong the clouds were and how strong this particular severe weather outbreak was. So by this event, I'm concluding my presentation, and thank you, and thank you.